On May 28, 1453, the largest city in Christendom still had running water, street lighting, and a population that had survived for over 1,000 years. Constantinople was not just a capital, it was the eastern half of Rome itself, the unbroken thread connecting the ancient world to the Renaissance. By sunset the next day, it would belong to someone else, and within a generation, most of its churches, palaces, and monuments would be erased or transformed beyond recognition. What vanished was not just a city, but the last physical embodiment of the Roman Empire, and most of what we think we know about its final days comes from the victors. Using reconstruction methods trained on Byzantine architectural manuals, Ottoman cadastral surveys, and the eyewitness accounts of survivors, I can now show you what stood in those final hours. This is what was lost when the walls fell. Picture the view from the Pempton Gate at sunset on May 28th. Torchlight flickers along the parapets, casting long shadows across stone that has stood for more than a millennium. The Theodosian Walls stretch nearly 4 miles across the landward approach to the city, a triple layer of fortification that has never been breached by a foreign army. The outer wall stands 27 feet high. The inner wall rises to 40 feet, separated from the outer by a 60-foot terrace wide enough to move troops and supplies. This is the most advanced defensive system in medieval Europe, built in 413 and refined over centuries of siege warfare. Behind the walls, watchtowers rise every 50 meters, each one equipped with cisterns, granaries, and small chapels where the families of the garrison have lived for generations. These are not just barriers. They are inhabited structures, small fortified neighborhoods where children have grown up within the stone, where wedding feasts have been held in the shadow of battlements. On this night, fewer than 7,000 defenders man those 4 miles of wall. They face an Ottoman force of more than 80,000 soldiers, the largest army assembled in Europe in living memory. For 53 days, the walls have endured bombardment from cannon that fire stone balls weighing over half a ton, weapons designed specifically to break fortifications that were never meant to resist them. The Venetian surgeon Niccolò Barbaro, trapped inside the city, recorded the sound of the guns in his diary. He wrote that the noise could be heard from 10 miles away, and that the ground shook with every impact. The walls have held, but they are cracked, patched with timber and rubble, and the defenders are exhausted. Tomorrow, the final assault will begin before dawn. From the parapets, you can see the dark mass of Ottoman cannon emplacements beyond the moat, silent now after weeks of fire. The stones beneath your feet are Roman, laid when this city was already ancient. Tomorrow, they will be someone else's. Behind those walls, in the heart of the city, one building still represents everything the empire has been. Step inside just after midnight. The air is thick with incense and the heat of thousands of bodies pressed together. Hagia Sophia, the Church of Holy Wisdom, has stood for 916 years when the city falls. Its dome spans 102 feet without visible support, a feat of engineering that will not be matched in Europe for centuries. On this night, the church holds a final divine liturgy attended by Emperor Constantine XI. Thousands of civilians, and both Orthodox and Catholic clergy, unified for the first time in decades. The chanting of the priests echoes off marble walls that have witnessed every crisis of the empire. The Nika riots, the iconoclasm, the Crusader sack of 1204. This time, there will be no recovery. You can hear the faint rumble of cannon fire from the walls. But inside, for a few more hours, the Roman Empire still exists. According to multiple eyewitnesses, the church's interior mosaics, covered in gold leaf, reflect candlelight so intensely that the entire structure appears to glow from within. The historian George Francis, who was present that night, wrote that the light seemed to move across the walls like water, as if the building itself were breathing. Hidden among the refugees are priests carrying a portable library of over 120 illuminated manuscripts, brought here for safekeeping from monasteries across the city. These include ancient Greek scientific texts, works of astronomy and medicine that have survived nowhere else in the world. After the fall, many will surface in Ottoman and Italian collections, their Byzantine provenance erased. The church also contains relics accumulated over centuries, fragments said to be from the true cross, the lance that pierced Christ's side, the chains that bound St. Peter in Rome. No records confirm what happened to most of them after May 29th. Some were hidden, some were sold, and some simply vanished into the chaos of the conquest. The most sacred and permanent symbol of Orthodox Christianity will become a mosque within 24 hours, not destroyed, but converted so seamlessly that many of its mosaics will remain hidden beneath plaster for 500 years. When dawn comes, the emperor leaves the church and rides toward the walls, heading for a place that no longer exists on any map. The Palace of Blachernae stands at the northwest corner of the city, built into the fortifications where the land walls meet the Golden Horn. It replaced the older Great Palace as the main imperial residence in the 11th century, chosen for its strategic position rather than its comfort. Constantine XI has used the palace not as a retreat, but as a forward command post, sleeping in armor during the siege, never more than 10 minutes from the walls. The palace complex includes barracks, armories, a private chapel, and residential quarters that have housed Roman emperors for 400 years. In the chapel rests the robe of the Virgin Mary, one of the most venerated relics in Christendom, believed to have saved the city during the Avar siege of 626. It will disappear after May 29th and has never been recovered. Some scholars believe it was taken to Moscow, others that it was destroyed, and still others that it remains hidden somewhere in Istanbul. After the fall, the palace is systematically stripped of its marble, mosaics, and columns. Ottoman cadastral surveys from 1500 describe it as a ruin used for storage. An imperial residence that housed Roman emperors for 4 centuries is abandoned so quickly that within 2 generations, its exact floor plan is forgotten, even as the empire that built it lives on in memory. By mid-morning on May 29th, Ottoman soldiers enter the palace unopposed, and the last Roman emperor is dead somewhere in the streets near the walls, his body never conclusively identified. But one structure, older than the siege, older than the walls, older even than the name Constantinople, still stands in the center of the city. Imagine standing at its base in the Forum of Constantine on May 28th, looking up. The column is black with age, iron bands holding the cracked stone together. The column of Constantine rises 120 feet above the city, erected in 330 to mark the founding of Constantinople as New Rome. It is built from multiple drums of purple porphyry stone, quarried from a single mountain in Egypt that was exhausted by the 5th century. No structure can ever be built from that material again. The column was originally topped with a statue of Constantine the Great, depicted as the sun god Apollo, But that statue was destroyed by a storm in 1106. Embedded in its base are relics believed to include fragments of the true cross, the axes used by Noah to build the ark, and the leftover loaves from the feeding of the 5,000. Contemporary sources describe the column's dedication ceremony as lasting 3 days, with processions, sacrifices, and the formal transfer of Rome's spiritual authority from the Tiber to the Bosphorus. After 1453, the column remains standing, but the relics vanish. Some are said to have been removed for safekeeping before the siege, others looted in the chaos after the walls fell. The oldest monument in Constantinople, erected to symbolize eternal Rome, is one of the few structures from 1453 still standing in modern Istanbul. But it survives only as a hollow shell, its meaning and contents lost. It has survived earthquakes, fires, riots, and wars. It is older than the siege weapons aimed at the city. Tomorrow it will still be here, but it will stand in a different world, for a different purpose, in a city with a different name. That column is still there, on a traffic island in the Cemberlitaş district of Istanbul, surrounded by markets and metro stations, burned and braced and almost forgotten. Constantinople did not just fall, it was overwritten. The empire that built it is gone, but for one night in May 1453, you could still walk its streets as a Roman citizen. If there is another lost place you want me to reconstruct, let me know in the comments.